evening. Hello and welcome. You're with the news today. This is your primetime destination news. Newsmakers, the talking points, the big talking point tonight. The Lok Sabha will go on well past midnight debating Prime Minister Modi government Ramji Bill that will replace the Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Is this the end of the road for the UPA flagship MGNREGA? That's the question that we will raise tonight. What is this confrontation all about? Why are millions of lives dependent on it? Among others will be someone who was the architect of MGNREGA, Jean Drèze, will join me. Also, guess what? A cricket match in Lucknow could be cancelled because of fog and smog. Air emergency. Too little, too late. When are we going to wake up and smell the coffee, or should we say the air? But the story that's breaking tonight, the Lok Sabha is expected now to go well past midnight to debate the contentious Ramji Bill, the bill that will replace the MGNREGA, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. That debate now has become a bone of contention between the government and the opposition. The government aiming to pass the bill in this session. The opposition saying that the government is trying to bulldoze legislation without even going through any kind of legislative oversight or scrutiny. Aishwarya Paliwal now joins me. Will be joining me shortly because she will tell us just why this bill has become such a hot potato. Why is it that the Narendra Modi government is determined to pass the Ramji Bill? Because remember, this is a bill much like the farm laws which earlier took place, which will affect millions of people. The government insists that the bill is an improved version of MGNREGA. On the other hand, the opposition claims that the government wants to shift the fiscal burden, the financial burden of paying for rural employment from the center to the states. And that has led to confrontation in the Lok Sabha. Aishwarya Paliwal now joins me with the very latest. Aishwarya, why is it the government determined to get this bill passed tonight? There are only 2 days left for the parliament session. Why is it unwilling to send a contentious bill to a select committee for a review?
Well, Rajdeep, from what we are understanding at the moment, and these are the things that we have been speaking with a lot of leaders, at least over the past 3 days, all of them are saying that they need to pass it so that today it can be passed in Lok Sabha, tomorrow Rajya Sabha, and then they will be able to allocate the budget. That is something that the BJP at the moment is looking at. They are also saying that all those things that the opposition has been speaking about, there has been corruption when we speak about it. There also have been a lot of people who have not been working but have been getting money. So all those loopholes have now been looked at. The government is also saying that if you actually study the bill, you will understand that the number of days have actually been increased, and the real reason why they want to do it tonight is the reason because they are saying that once it is passed, then they will be able to allocate the budget in the upcoming budget session, which will take place next year.
So let me get this clear. You're saying the government is in a hurry to pass this bill because the financial allocation that have to be made in the union budget in February, the government can then make the necessary adjustments because remember, this new bill will pass a substantial burden of the finance onto states. Am I correct? They want to pass it ahead of next month's budget session.
Right, definitely, Rajdeep. And what the government also has been speaking, Rajdeep, is the fact that they believe that earlier, because the central government used to give money, there were certain states who were getting a larger chunk of that money, and there were some states, because they were not able to give out all those papers, those states were actually were not able to get more money from them. So now the burden is also on the state, and now they will have to make sure that the state also tells the center where exactly this money is going. So those kind of changes now have been made.
Aishwarya Paliwal joining me as to why the government wants to press ahead with this bill tonight itself. Just to explain, what are the proposed Ramji Bill changes? Why is this bill? How does it compare with the MGNREGA, which was, remember, the flagship Rural Employment Guarantee Act of the UPA government? Under MGNREGA, rural households were guaranteed 100 days of employment. The Ramji Bill proposes to increase this to 125 days. but the funding patterns have changed. MGNREGA provided 100% central funding for wages, 75% for material costs. The new bill shifts it to a 60-40 center-state funding ratio, with 90% central funding for northeast states, Jammu and Kashmir and the Himalayan states. Unlike MGNREGA, which offered work throughout the year, the new bill says it will give no employment during 60 days of peak agricultural season. Wage payments will be faster according to the government under the Ramji Bill, claiming they will reduce the time from 15 days to 1 week. The planning authority also shifts as states prepare annual work plans under MGNREGA. Now it is the centre that will determine statewide allocations under this bill. Additionally, while the centre must fund all demanded work under MGNREGA, states bear the extra cost if the budget is exceeded. Finally, work under MGNREGA span broad categories. The Ramji Bill focuses on 4 priority areas: water security, rural infrastructure, livelihood infrastructure and disaster management. I'm going to look at 2 aspects to it. One, the social welfare and economic aspects, and the political aspects. I'm going to start with the politics. What is the real objective of this Ramji Bill? Is the Ramji Bill progressive or regressive? Squeeze on central funds, will it derail job schemes? Is it the end of the road for the UPA flagship MGNREGA? Has MGNREGA become outdated? Joining me now first on the political face-off is Shehzad Poonawalla, National Spokesperson BJP, and Dr. Ajoy Kumar, National Spokesperson Congress. Let's turn to you, Shehzad Poonawalla, first. It's not just about the name change. You're removing Mahatma Gandhi's name and making it the Ramji Bill, which has attracted some attention, but it's the fact that the entire burden, or a large share of the burden, now will move from centre to states. And therefore, the opposition is alleging the centre doesn't want to bear the burden of a rural employment guarantee scheme. Your response, Mr. Poonawalla?
First of all, let me address the name change aspect because you started off with that. Rajdeep, and don't take this personally, or please don't allow the Congress person to take it personally. Supposing a lady named Antonia changes her name to Sonia because she doesn't like her name, that is name change. But if a new Italian child is born and his name is Rahul, that's a new child. It's a new creation. So you won't say Rahul has changed his name. Rahul has been born, and therefore this is a new name that has been given to a new entity. This VB Ramji has not replaced any names. It has not changed any names. It literally describes what the law stands for. It's a Viksit Bharat law. It's aimed at Viksit Bharat. It is a guarantee for Rozgar and Ajeevika. It is a mission mode that will be applied, and it is for Gramin Ilaka. So now
those are nice words, sir. But at the end of the day, sir, I don't want to go into the name, but I didn't want to focus only on the name change. But the fact, Mr. Poonawalla, is Mahatma Gandhi's name is gone. Yes or no? That is the truth. We'll come to the real content change in a moment. But the Mahatma Gandhi's name has gone. You can do all the twists and turns that you want.
Let me address it in a different way, Rajdeep. Mahatma Gandhi ji had 4 or 5 pillars of his vichar. Ram, Gram, Swadeshi, Satya, Swachhata. Swachhata who has taken forward? Modi ji. Khadi, Swadeshi who has taken forward? Modi ji. राम को किसने अपनाया और रोम को किसने अपनाया बोलने की जरूरत नहीं और इसमें तो ग्राम की ही पूरी उपलब्धि है. And by the way, you have quoted one thing that the entire plans will be devised by the center or the state. That is not correct. The center has given 4 themes. Those 4 themes are also related to rural areas, but it will be a bottoms-up approach. The panchayat will decide what work has to be done. It will be 125 days of guarantee. Now there will be more transparency because it is going to be AI enabled. It is going to be enabled with GPS monitoring. It is going to have not just social audit, but it is going to be monitoring real time. The payments will be quicker. So it is a completely new system. But I have 2 or 3 points. You said that the states have to now shell out more. Let me just have 10-20 seconds on that. The very first proposal that says to share more more, was given by Mr. P. Chidambaram, somebody you interview very regularly, Rajdeep, and he's been the finance minister of the country. You get opportunity to interview also. You ask him when you next time interview him. He was the one who said that states should share more so that they are more responsible, because we've seen the kind of corruption that takes place, whether it is in West Bengal or it was in previously in Uttar Pradesh, which Jairam Ramesh used to flag. Secondly, you have said that there will be a pause. That pause idea also was given by Sharad Pawar, and I agree with it. Why? Because during the agricultural period, the labor used to become scarce. That used to mean more cost input for the farmers. So today, who are opposing VB Jiramji, are they opposing the farmers getting the labor availability during harvest season at a lower cost? Are they saying Sharad Pawar was anti-Mahatma Gandhi? They must evaluate before they speak. Thirdly, the state share. Now, let me just come down to that also. Rajdeep, when the UPA government was there and they wanted to chop off the state contribution, national contribution, at that time states were getting 31% of the devoluted funds. Today they get 41%. The states got 22 lakh crore under Manmohan Singh. Today we have given them 85 lakh crores. And this is over and above the fact that we have given tap water connections, Ayushman Bharat scheme, we have given rural roads, we have given plethora of schemes like Nal Se Jal Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana, Kisan Samman Nidhi. All of this has been funded by the center. So despite giving more things on social welfare by the center, despite more funds being devoluted to the states, we are ensuring that the states continue to run this project with more responsibility. By the way,
So
the UPA, now you said that MGNREGA ke liye end of road. You know, Jairam Ramesh, last sentence, just 10 seconds more, because I've met you after so many days. Rajdeep, I was really missing you also, and God bless you with great health, and please keep smiling and please keep listening to good music. Okay, so Mr. Jairam Ramesh has said MGNREGA is not a permanent solution back in 2006-2007. Do you know that? And today, MGNREGA, which had come down to 33,000 crore funding during the UPA tenure, we took it right up to 80,000 crores. We gave almost 8 lakh crores. The UPA during its 10 years gave 1.9 lakh crores. And last statement, Rajdeep, you said Mahatma Gandhi ka apman. When NREGA was bought in 2004-05, it did not have Mahatma Gandhi's name. This was later on attached in 2009. So were they insulting Mahatma Gandhi? When they changed the Jawahar Yojana to NREGA,
Sir,
did they insult
Mr.
Jawaharji?
Poonawalla, I gave you uninterrupted time. Ajoy Kumar, you will get the same benefit to answer certain important points that Mr. Poonawalla has made. In particular, that the belief is that this scheme needed improvement, that the MGNREGA scheme as it existed led to a lack of accountability, there was corruption, and therefore it needs greater monitoring. This will be ensured by the new scheme with specific targets being set. How do you respond?
So, like he told a story, you know, whenever you want to go to a bus stand in India, you'll have a snake charmer and you'll get distracted and sab aapke pocket maar ke chale jayenge. No offense meant to a political party, but this is what the pocket mari is happening in this party, the present ruling party, for the simple reason, let me explain to you. The second part, and I'll come in details, the second part is on corruption. A government which gives 25,000 crores to a business house and gets 800 crores of electoral bond is talking on corruption? I mean, what kind of nonsensical spiel is this, you know? Every day you hear these guys are, you know, robbing the country, settling scores, Sardesai, this, that. So I don't want to get into the corruption. This is humongous. Now coming to the scheme. The scheme is a total demolishing of the rights of the rural poor. Because look at the intent. They'll keep quoting Sharad Pawar, they'll keep quoting Chidambaram. The question is, we brought the MGNREGA, it continued to be there and we have spoken for it. What we stand in the parliament and speak about it is what is the Congress stand. And the stand is what? That you should leave people during the sowing season. The reason was that increased the bargaining power of the rural labor. The rural labor were able to negotiate better rates. Now, these party of the rich, party of the connected will ensure that the poor village labor has got no bargaining tool.
The bill promises 125 days guaranteed labor as opposed to 100. When you say it is going to destroy the scheme, you have to give a specific reason why you say it's going to destroy MGNREGA.
So indulge me. I will give you free health care, but there is no hospital. I will give you 125 days, but the budget we will decide. We will fix the budget. What this is nonsense. I will give you free food, but there is no ration shop. So the 125 days is a lie. And I'll explain to you, because it is, the MGNREGA was demand oriented. You could demand. It was by law that you had to get it. Is 125 days a demand a legal entity? No. Can you demand and say that no, you will get it? No. Second issue, typical BJP style. I will decide what the village wants. Earlier, the village would decide. The village would decide what is the work to be needed. These guys are telling you that a village in Akbarpur in Bihar will tell you, or you, Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, will know what the village needs. The third important point, Mr. Poonawalla forgets that money increases as the budget increases. Percentage of GDP, sir, that is the economics. But economics is not the strong point. They have not increased the budget on education, health, or rural development at all. They have reduced the budget on percentage. It is always a percentage, but they will come with your friend. Obviously, the country's economic budget has increased from 2004 to 2025. Obviously, the numbers will change. It's percentage, sir. So let's next time the BJP, my colleague from BJP, Shehzad, should bring the percentage number. The most important part, 60-40. You think we had Jawahar Rozgar Yojana earlier, before 2004? 60-40. You think anybody, any state would have the money? You have reduced. They're saying you've given more money. The percentage, the devolution of money has reduced, and the ability of the states in percentage income has come down by the states, because GST Council, they stopped giving the automatic yearly increase. That now they are saying if the Ramji Bill is going to be implemented, if it's 1.5 lakh crores, Rajdeep, mark my words, 90,000 they will pay, 60,000 the states will pay. Earlier, the states were only paying 75% of the material cost. And that is why in COVID, who saved this country? Who saved this nation of the poor people from hunger? And I'll tell you, most important, they have abolished reservation. And I come from Jharkhand. Rajdeep, only 10 seconds. No, I'll tell you only 10 seconds. You have stopped hearing about diarrheal deaths in the tribal areas by and large. You have stopped hearing about malnutrition in Kalandis because the earning had increased. The tribals were ensured. The scheduled castes were ensured. The women were ensured. They have thrown all these people under the bus. And
okay.
then...
I've listened to you.
Okay.
Mr. Dr. Ajoy Kumar, I think you have to be fair.
Ahead.
I've listened to both of you patiently. Shehzad, Poonawalla, it again comes to intent. You see, every government wants to seemingly impose its stamp on welfare schemes. And the Modi government has tried to build large welfare schemes. They've succeeded to some extent by creating a large pool of beneficiaries, or the so-called labharthis of government schemes. Here you have a centrally sponsored scheme which could be improved on. I don't think anyone would doubt that every scheme needs improvement. But there is a danger by making it another centrally sponsored scheme that you're not actually improving it. You're simply making it yet another attempt by the center to dictate terms to the state. It will actually go against the federal spirit.
So let me address this one by one. First, you rightly used the most important word of the debate, Rajdeep, intent. There was once upon a time, 2 generation, 3 generation, Garibi Hatao was in Nara, never in Niyat. Narendra Modi came, 25 करोड़ लोगों को गरीबी से निकाला. नरेंद्र मोदी केम, पर कैपिटा इनकम दुगना हुआ. नरेंद्र मोदी केम, 4.5 करोड़ लोगों को गरीब आवास मिला. नरेंद्र मोदी केम, 10 करोड़ टॉयलेट बना. नरेंद्र मोदी केम, 11 करोड़ लोगों को नल से जल मिला. दिस इज इंटेंट एंड आउटकम. द टू आर देयर. यू कैन सी कि नारा किसने दिया और नीतिगत रूप से किसने अपनाया. एंड दैट इज वाई राजदीप 3 times इलेक्शन इन द सेंटर, इलेक्शन आफ्टर इलेक्शन इन गुजरात, मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, हरियाणा, आसाम, त्रिपुरा, उत्तर प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड. Which state has Congress repeated ever from 2011 onwards? Because we deliver. Point number 2 on the states. Rajdeep, you are too senior a journalist. and too well-read a journalist to not know that Chidambaram mooted the idea that state contribution should be there from two perspectives. One, because states' work is also being done here, and two, states should take the onus of better accountability. Was Chidambaram anti-federalism? In fact, we have given much more to the states. Let me give you one more akada. During the UPA, Karnataka, non-BJP state, got 80,000 crores in 10 years. Today it has got 2.8 lakh crores in funds. हम states के खिलाफ है क्या? चलो, let's go to the third point. My dear friend Ajoy Kumar, very respected police officer during his time, how can he say that the village panchayats won't decide? Have you read of VGPP? The village Gram Panchayat plan will be the one that will demand that we want to do this work. Yes, there are 4 themes that have been created, so it aligns with a national infrastructure. We are not just digging a hole, filling the hole, digging a hole, filling the hole. We have a national plan that how we need to align it with the national infrastructure. Just 20 seconds, Rajdeep, just 20 seconds.
So basically the center, that's the point, the center knows best. You're telling me today, you're telling me, Mr. Poonawalla, the center alone knows best. No state government knows how to build productive assets. Am I correct? That's what you said.
Don't twist. Rajdeep, don't twist. No, I did not say this. And your English comprehension is very good, by grace of God. So don't twist. I'll tell you again. Center has said water security, rural infra, livelihoods and climate resilience. These are 4 themes. Village Panchayat has to decide. In fact, let me tell you most important point which we have all missed. NREGA was only about employment, alternate employment. This is employment plus Ajeevika. Ajeevika means livelihood or self-employment opportunity. So the broader spectrum is there to give the availability of money. And by the way, last point, 10 seconds, just bear with me. It is 125 days already, plus 60 days they will anyways get farm work. So it is 185 days. As opposed to Ajoy Kumar's tenure when it was 100 days, but wo bhi nahi diya.
Okay, I want to get Ajoy Kumar in for a final word. You see, Ajoy Kumar, just as I asked Mr. Poonawalla that the fear is there of the intent of the government to dictate terms to the state, are you also engaging in fear-mongering? That if there is greater accountability and transparency, what's the harm? What's the harm if the center decides we have 4 clear areas where we will allow investments to take place and we will monitor it?
So it's like the great leap forward from China, where everybody was fudging the data. The Chinese said from the top, we'll become the world's greatest nation in terms of steel production. People started melting their own steel pots. What are you trying to bring this? By the way, Shehzad made a mistake. The plan is Viksit Gram Panchayat plan will be sitting over the Prime Minister Gati Shakti layers and national template to design what a village needs. This was a scheme to provide employment to the rural poor. It is not fear-mongering. You have ensured there is no reservation for SC, ST, OBCs. You have ensured there is no availability of labor during the agriculture period so that the negotiations stop. Most important, you said, hey, people of India and the state, we will not provide the money because we want this program to die. And believe me, Rajdeep, this 60-40, if your intention was good, why don't you pay the same amount which you were doing earlier? Why don't you guarantee it? You may guarantee it. Why don't you give 95, 90, 90, 10? Why is it you did 60-40? Because you want to squeeze the states. You want to torture the states. And you did that in Bengal. You'll do it in other parts of India. It is a scheme which has insulted.
I've heard both of you patiently. I've heard the politics played out of it, and I appreciate that both of you have come with your points strongly on the debate. I want to widen it now. I appreciate Shehzad, Ajoy joining me to look at the real economics of it. Because remember, this has been a flagship scheme for the country. Hence, we want to spend a little bit more time. Achievements of MGNREGA first. Provided livelihood security to crores of rural households. Reduced poverty and distress migration. Empowered the marginalized groups. Promoted gender equality. Creation of durable assets and rural infrastructure. Increased rural wages. Benefited agricultural laborers indirectly. What is the criticism of MGNREGA? There were frequent delays beyond the mandated 15 days in paying up. There was a bureaucracy. Many households claimed they received far fewer than the 100 days of employment promised. There was corruption and leakages through fake job cards created, ghost workers, etc. There was delays in project completion, irregular inspections, substandard assets. Insufficient funding compared to demand led to a rationing of work, and there was wide state-level disparities. At this moment, I'm joined by Professor Jean Drèze. Professor Drèze was one of those who in the UPA years, in a way, shaped MGNREGA. Also, Shankar Iyer, political economist and author and columnist, joins me. I want to come to you, Jean Drèze. You may have heard much of what the politicians say. The BJP is very clear. We are not demolishing MGNREGA, but bringing a much more improved scheme for rural employment, 125 days. It will be more fiscally responsible. We will have specific targeted areas where the investments will be brought in. Why are you and others saying that this is a disaster?
Rajdeep, thank you for having me. I'm afraid that I was not able to hear the previous speakers. There's something lacking in your system. So I may repeat some of the things they said. But this is not what you have described just now, is not what is happening. Let's be very clear.
What are your principal objections?
I'll come to that in a second, but let's first be clear about what is happening. Firstly, this new bill repeals the Employment Guarantee Act, NREGA. It's not just renaming, it's certainly not revamping, it repeals it. I'll just read the relevant line from section 37 of this bill. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005, together with all rules, notifications, schemes, orders, and guidelines shall stand repealed. So not just the act, everything, the schemes, orders, notifications, everything, not right now, when the new scheme comes into force. Now, so repeal junk NREGA, bring in a new scheme. This new scheme is not an employment guarantee. Why? Because the central government retains all the powers. It has, it can decide when the schemes, where and when the schemes comes into force, the financial allocations, the wage rates, almost everything, and it has no significant obligations. The worst part of this discretion is what we call the switch-off clause. I'll just read it very quickly. It says, the state government shall, in such rural areas in the state as may be notified by the central government, in such rural areas of the state as may be notified by the central government, provide to every household whose adult members volunteer to do unskilled manual work not less than 125 days of guaranteed employment. So this switch-off clause basically says that it is the discretion of the central government to decide where and when the scheme comes into effect. So there's no guarantee. This is like saying, I give you a work guarantee, but I don't guarantee that the guarantee will come into effect. Incidentally, in 2004, when the original NREGA was in Parliament, just before that actually, the central government had also tried to smuggle in a switch-off clause, saying exactly the same thing. And obviously, from the central government's point of view, it makes sense. The central government wants to keep control. It's safer for them to be able to decide where and when the scheme comes into force.
Is it a switch-off clause or simply the central government, Jean Drèze, deciding where and how and when the money will be put? They're not saying we will not give you 125 days of employment guarantee.
It is up to us. We decide. We decide where and when.
That the center decides.
And let us be clear, this kind of discretionary powers have already been misused. You must know that the scheme has been arbitrarily in West Bengal, and the central government has never been able to explain clearly for what reason, even in Parliament, even in Lok Sabha.
The central government says there was misuse of MGNREGA funds by Bengal, hence the funds were not being transferred. Is the argument which has been denied by the West Bengal government, saying because it's an opposition government, they are being denied the funds.
They never gave any evidence, and even in Parliament, they were not able to give any details, and they never agreed to share under the RTI Act the correspondence that they had with the West Bengal government on this matter.
So you're saying that under the scheme, just to understand, you're saying the way the scheme is framed, it gives huge discretionary powers to the center to decide which project will go to which state, when will it be done. It's not Gram Panchayat driven, it's not bottom up as the BJP is claiming, where the Gram Panchayats will decide how the money is to be spent. You're saying it's another centrally sponsored scheme where the center will have all the powers. Am I correct?
Correct.
And that's the difference between MGNREGA and this scheme.
Well, it's part of the difference.
Yes.
Another important discretionary power is the power to decide the state-wise allocations, the so-called state-wise normative allocations. So the central government will decide how much to give to each state. Within that allocation determined by the center, there will be 60-40 sharing, and beyond that, it will be 100% sharing contribution from the states. So if the central government decides, for example, that Kerala is well off enough to do this on its own, it doesn't need any allocation, then Kerala will have to pay 100%, or any other state for that matter.
Okay, let me bring in Shankar, and I'll come to you for more to look at why you are worried about what this will do to rural employment in particular. But Shankar here, there were those who said MGNREGA was a white elephant, that MGNREGA led to corruption and leakages, it led to non-productive assets being built. Do you see this present Ramji or Viksit Bharat Ramji, it's a tongue twister, overcoming some of those criticisms? Or do you believe, as Jean Drèze is suggesting here, that this will actually create a central bureaucracy over how monies are distributed?
Well, I don't know whether apples and oranges can be compared, Rajdeep. This is a completely different beast that has been created. The MGNREGA was actually a justiciable act which allowed people to claim jobs. Now, that aspect seems very vague and unclear in the wording of the new Ramji Bill here. All I see in the name twist change is that the burden of alleviating misery has been shifted from Mahatma Gandhi to Lord Ram. And hopefully that will bring in a better objectives and outcomes to this. But if you look at both the bills, Rajdeep, let me sort of address the optics and the reality. 125 days target is all very good, but across the last 20 years, if you see, less than 10% of the job claimants have got 100 days of employment. The maximum employment that they have got is 43, 48, 52, depending on the year. The second aspect is that, the issue of protecting farmers' interests by a switch off mechanism for season. Now, I don't know which farmers are being protected here, because are they those 80% who own less than 1.5 hectares, or the large farmers? And should the government of India really be deciding who gets labor from where? Settle that in one level. Okay. The third aspect is, what will the state governments pay and what will be the central government? There could be an argument that state governments need to share a part of the burden, but that all could have been decided once the Finance Commission report, the next Finance Commission's report was in, and this could have been a larger, more wider debate. The fourth aspect is the centralization issue, which is an irony in itself, because till recently, the BJP used to be about federalism. And so the history tells us, Rajdeep, that all major reforms in India have come from the states. MGNREGA itself was born in the district of Sangli as a drought relief program, which got sort of converted into a food for work program and then got nationalized. So do the states know better, or does the center know better, is always a constant debate in India. I welcome the changes, the modernization that has been introduced, but I am not sure whether these changes will ensure the rights. Finally,
So let me...
NREGA was supposed to give or sort of allow floor for wages in the rural areas where jobs are scarce. I am not sure whether that entitlement, that protection that was given earlier, will exist with all the conditions of seasonality, jobs, and everything.
Okay, let me bring in Jean Drèze again, because Jean Drèze, surely you will also accept that what is key is not just outlays but outcomes. There have been critics of MGNREGA, you saw some of the criticism that they haven't created enough productive assets, they've not been focused enough. Now in this new scheme, setting certain clear objectives will help in creating productive assets, will ensure greater accountability, and thereby the money will be spent on concrete outcomes, not just outlays. How will you respond?
Rajdeep, again, I could not hear the other speaker, so I hope I don't answer
Yes.
at cross purposes. But first of all, let me say that there has been a lot of research on NREGA, and all the benefits that you mentioned earlier, reduction of poverty, contribution to social equity, protection of the environment, creation of productive assets, and so on. These benefits are quite well documented. I mean, there are literally hundreds of research papers on NREGA, and particularly for the early phase, like the first 5-6 years, for which we have quite a lot of data, including independent household survey data from the National Sample Survey, the India Human Development Survey, and so on. For more recent years, there's not so much data. But we know for a fact that there was a significant phase when NREGA was doing quite well and generating very substantial benefits on a very large scale. And that is why I said and wrote earlier today that if there's one thing in one scheme for which India deserves to be known as Vishwaguru, it is employment guarantee, because India was the first country to introduce employment guarantee, not in 2005, but in the early 1970s in Maharashtra, and then in 2005 at the national level, and with very significant achievements. This is something that is inspiring the whole world. And that's why it's so sad to see that India is turning its back to this achievement.
Why do you, but I must push you, why do you say it's turning its back? The government will say we are not doing away with the employment guarantee scheme, we're just monitoring it more effectively.
No. As I explained, the guarantee itself is being undermined. Let me also quickly comment on this issue of cost sharing. You see, the reason why it's not just cost sharing, because beyond the point, as I explained, it's 100% state sharing at the discretion of the center. Now, the reason why this can be so destructive is that the state governments, unlike the central government, have what is called a hard budget constraint. Beyond the point, they can't spend. The central government can always borrow or print money. So there's always some guarantee that funds can be made available from somewhere. At the state level, it's not like that. And that is why at the state level, and especially in the poorer states, like in Jharkhand, where I live, you see rampant delays in payments to lower level functionaries, delays in pensions, sometimes for months, sometimes for a whole year. And this is what is going to happen with NREGA. You see,
I think that is a very strong point that you make. And I think the fear, of course, is that all these contentious issues are being pushed through Parliament without debate. You are having a debate tonight as it's going on till midnight. But what about legislative oversight? What about scrutiny? What about getting experts like Jean Drèze, like Shankar Iyer, like others to put their views forward and then improve the quality? Will bureaucrats and the center knows best attitude prevail over the need for proper legislative oversight? Professor Drèze, Shankar Iyer, for joining me and explaining to us what you believe are your concerns, Professor Drèze, and Shankar Iyer for giving us your perspective. Thank you so much. Parliament will debate this well past midnight. There is another issue that Parliament needs to debate, which is the breaking news that's coming in. There is an apocalypse that is hurting the nation at the moment. And guess what? Smog has disrupted and led to the cancellation of an international cricket match in Lucknow. The India versus South Africa match has been called off due to smog. That's right, smog in Lucknow has led to the cancellation of the 4th T20 International. India, remember, leads the 5-match series. This is the pictures we saw Hardik Pandya wearing a mask. The quality of air, the air quality index in Lucknow was close to 400 today. There was fog, but there was also clearly smog. Perhaps one of the first times that a match has been cancelled because of this. Nikhil Naz, our sports consulting editor, joins me. Samar Srivastav joins me from Lucknow. First you, Nikhil. I don't recall when Smog called off a match, but there's always a first time. But if you ask me, and I tweeted this is a bloody disgrace.
Well, that's right, Rajdeep. Well, just a reminder to all our viewers, if you thought that this particular match and the calling of this match is going to change things, well, you have another thing coming, because I'll take our viewers back to 2017. It was right here in the heart of the national capital, the game that was played between India and Sri Lanka, a test match at that. And that was called off because of pollution. I still remember those images from 2017. Sri Lankan players came wearing masks to the ground. A lot of them complained about their eyes itching. Many also complained of nausea. And you thought things are going to change from there on, because we faced the embarrassment of a game getting called off because of pollution. I know what the headlines will say now. I know what the official statement from the BCCI will say, that this match is being called off because of poor visibility. That, in fact, is only the half truth. Yes, there is poor visibility, but you have to see what the story behind that is. Why was there poor visibility? Because what you had was not just fog, you had something called smog, which you get in North India. It's a mixture of pollution as well as the fog that you get. I just had a quick look at the AQI that you had in Lucknow today, and it was hovering around the 400 mark. We had pictures of a Hardik Pandya, an Indian player, wearing a mask and walking around the field. And so you could say that this game has been called because of poor visibility, but the fact of the matter is, it is down to the prevailing conditions in North India, and pollution is the number one factor.
That's right. I was looking at pollution in Lucknow. It was 417 at about 8:30, then went to 390, but clearly in the very severe category, as it is across much of North India. Samar Srivastava, what are the officials telling you there in Lucknow? What is the official reason being given for the match being called off? It was not just fog, but as Nikhil is saying, it was smog, S-M-O-G.
Well, exactly, Raj. As per the officials are concerned, what we are getting from the sources, from the stadium or from the government, it's called the fog, what they are claiming. That's because of fog, because we see a lot of fog around Lucknow, be it in the wee hours, be it in the morning, be it in the afternoon. But if you talk about the current AQI, I've got the app open, which clearly shows the live AQI number, which is currently 359. So it's the current AQI. It's 359 currently in Lucknow, which shows that that could also be the reason behind the cancellation, as we see Hardik Pandya having the mask on his mouth, on his face, covering his nostrils especially, because that's the situation adverse in the North India. And recently now Shashi Tharoor has also made one tweet regarding this particular issue, calling that the match could have been transferred to some other location. But if you talk about Lucknow's situation, we saw two major accidents happening just because of this fog. One on Purvanchal Expressway, another on the Agra Expressway. And we see what we saw in the Ekana Stadium, the toss was firstly delayed, and it went on delaying hours after hours. But at the end, at 9:30 inspection, the match was called off. Though those who were there around the stadium, they were claiming from afternoon how the match could happen with such fog around, because it's not that when the sun is setting that fog thing is happening. We are reporting from morning when fog was there, and even at this particular hour, the fog persists. Back to you, Rajdeep.
Clearly, much to answer for the organizers, for the state government, and indeed for the way in which pollution has been tackled. Nikhil, Samarth, appreciate you joining us. Will pollution become a political issue? Tomorrow the Lok Sabha will have a short duration debate on it. It doesn't need a short duration debate. It needs a long debate, for God's sake. If we can debate Vande Mataram for 10 hours, we should be debating pollution, solutions to pollution for a full day. But guess what? Politics has taken over. Delhi's Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa has blamed AAP and Congress for the pollution, and at the same time said from tomorrow, private companies will be asked to ensure that 50% of their workforce works from home. Now, are these ad hoc measures that will actually have an impact, or will politics take over yet again? Take a look at this report.
Delhi is breathless. Delhi is blinded by thick smog. Delhi is so polluted that it is not worth living in. Delhi's anti-pollution prescription is 50% compulsory work from home, ban on all construction activities. Only BS6 complaint vehicles are allowed in Delhi. No fuel without PUC certificate. Carpooling application for Delhi. 27 mechanical sweeper machines in every ward. 100 more EV buses. But the capital city has capital problems of power struggle, where politicians engage in war of words rather than cleaning up the air in war footing. When Delhi's Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa apologized to the people, stating that the government was working hard to fix the issue, Congress leader and prominent Delhi resident Priyanka Gandhi Vadra taunted it as too little too late.
मैं दिल्ली के लोगों से माफी मांगता हूं, इतना कहना चाहता हूं 9-10 महीनों में कोई सरकार आपको पूरा का पूरा पोल्यूशन को साफ कर सके ऐसा असंभव है। लेकिन मैं दिल्ली वासियों आपको बताना चाहता हूं, आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार जो बेईमानी करके चल कर गई है, हमने उससे बेहतर करके हर दिन का AQI कम करा है।
माफी मांगने का क्या फायदा है, काम करें, ठीक कराएं। हमने कहा कि सब इकट्ठे होकर हम कुछ अच्छे ठोस निर्णय लें, लेकिन यहाँ तो चर्चा भी नहीं हो रही है उस पर।
दिल्ली के हमारे सभी संगठन के लोगों को
The very next day, Delhi Environment Minister targeted Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra as many opposition leaders were seen wearing masks at the parliament.
प्रियंका गांधी जी बता दें, मैंने उनको पिछले साल का बता दिया, 17 तारीख को 433 था आज के दिन, उन्होंने मास्क लगाया था। अगर आपने तब ये इशू पार्लियामेंट में उठाए होते तो अब तक ये ठीक हो गया होता।
The AQI of Delhi improved to very poor on Wednesday after 2 days of severe air quality. The capital city has been battling high AQI for more than a month this winter, and Delhi government has been on the back foot defending its policies. Opposition parties have been demanding discussion in the parliament over pollution, while the Delhi government has been busy blaming the previous Aam Aadmi Party government for the mess. Bureau Report, India Today.
And we'll have a big debate here too on News Today tomorrow on that air pollution controversy. Let's turn to our Get Real India story, which today comes from Bengaluru, the Silicon City, as it's sometimes called, but a city also, I fear, at times with a heart of stone. Because this story is about a 34-year-old Bengaluru mechanic who died after suffering a heart attack while traveling on a motorcycle with his wife to a hospital. He was turned away by the hospital, sidelined by passerbys. As his wife begged for help, traffic just moved on. Hearts remained unmoved. By the time compassion arrived, it was too late. What failed Venkatramanan was not just his heart, but a system and a society that deliberately chose to look away. Take a look at Get Real India.
What you see on your screen is a man suffering a heart attack and a city that showed no heart. "34-year-old Venkataraman and his wife were headed to a hospital on a motorcycle when he collapsed. His wife kept pleading for help repeatedly. One after another, cars and bikes passed them. Not one of them had the time to stop. He was on the road for full 5 minutes, each minute that felt endless. Finally, help came. A Samaritan tried CPR on him. He was then taken to the hospital where he was declared dead. The story is not complete. The real story is what happened earlier. Venkataraman, who stays in Balaji Nagar, Banashankari, 3rd stage, developed chest pain around 3 a.m. Couple went on a bike to a Udbhav hospital near Katri Gupe Janta Bazar. As there were no doctors available there, the couple proceeded to another nearby private hospital, Relife. An ECG at the Relife hospital revealed he had suffered a mild heart attack. They were advised to go to the Jayadeva hospital but were not provided an ambulance. They went on the motorbike to Jayadeva hospital, a short trip that they could not complete. Venkataraman, who was a garage mechanic, leaves behind his wife Rupa, a 5-year-old son and 1.5-year-old daughter. With Sagai Raj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Very sad story there. Let me leave you though with something as our image of the day. It was a night of glitz and glory at the 25th ITA Awards unfolded at the Geo World Convention Center in Mumbai, where networks, TV personalities from across India gathered to celebrate television's finest. Fresh off the ENBA glory, it was another memorable day for India Today Group, with top honors at the ITA, reaffirming its position as a news leader, continuing a legacy of excellence that has become synonymous with the brand. India Today walking off with 9 prestigious awards, including the Popular Channel of the Year award for both India Today and Aaj Tak. Kali Puri accepting those awards. India Today's Gaurav Samant winning an award for his Operation Sindoor coverage. Akshita Nandgopal for her coverage of the Wayanad landslide. We leave you there. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.